What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Operation White Noise reveal panel. I am Justin Kruger, your community developer on Rainbow Six Siege, and I am joined by two amazing gentlemen to my left. Level designer Madi. How's it going, Madi?
I feel so good right now. So honored, so blessed to be here. It's been a dream, man.
Yeah, it's so amazing being here in front of this insane
It's been
Brazilian
crazy, man.
crowd.
I can't
It's
believe
so
it.
cool.
Yeah.
And standing to his left, returning for a fourth time. This is four times for you.
Maybe
I think.
five. I've
Maybe
lost
five.
count.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been many. But a man that clearly needs no introduction, game designer Simon LaForge. How's it going, Simon?
It's going amazing, man. The crowd here is absolutely nuts. I'm having a great time.
What did you guys think of the last semifinals?
I mean, like, we get pretty much the best result possible. We get like a Brazilian team against ENCE, and Penta's not in the finals, which isn't a big deal, but it's great that we get such a great final.
Such an amazing grand finals coming up just after this, but of course, right now, we're all about Operation White Noise. These guys are going to be running through the maps and the operators and revealing all that will be revealed in due time about Operation White Noise. I'm so excited to bring you all this content, and without further ado, let's hop in right to the map that is coming with Operation White Noise. So, with Operation White Noise, we are proud to present to you today the new map, Tower. The action takes place at a high altitude over this major city of South Korea. From the get-go, this map offers players a unique exterior rappel on the facade of the building, while inside the walls, the Rainbow Six team has found a layer of fraudulent organization that owns the tower. A small luxury office in the tower was found to hide the core of an evil financial structure with some of the richest fortunes around the world placing money under that investment company. When they found Team Rainbow had infiltrated the tower, all chaos broke out. Thematically speaking, most of the rooms in the tower are public spaces, entertainment areas, museums, restaurants, and bars and lounges. As one of our writers described it, you're going to feel fairly safe in this environment that is actually filled with action-packed destruction. But of course, all the rooms inside the tower are not as charming as they used to. You'll see a lot of destruction, and gameplay-wise, this map offers a mix, intense, of close and long-range fights with many angles and catwalks that players must be extra careful at all times. Without further ado, let's dive right into the new map, Tower. Madi,
Yeah.
run us through all the beautiful things about the tower. Run
This
us
is
through
so
the
exciting,
basics.
yeah.
This is really
So-
cool. One of our most exciting
It
maps,
is a
right?
really special map. Starting off, tower is a massive three-floor building, and we jumped at, like you said, a really good amount of long-range, close-range combat. But what's most special about the map, what we never did before, is that there is absolutely no exterior gameplay. Almost exclusively, all of the action takes place inside of the tower.
That's really interesting.
That
So,
is-
so there's no exterior spawn points for the attackers except for this rooftop,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So
but there's nothing that the defenders can actually go out into, and they won't get detected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they'll never get detected inside, and the only exterior you'll find is the attacker spawning on the roof, either on the north side or the south side. And from there, they have to make a decision on how they want to approach the objective.
And this decision is really important, and it's broken down into two pathways that they can take, right? Why don't
Absolutely.
you break us down those pathways?
Yeah, we have the elevator route as a first pathway. This is really intense because this is going to take you straight into the heart of the tower. And you can also get down, take the catwalk, but if you decide to rappel down to the elevator, you have to be really careful because it's going to be contested. And you'll have to drone in, you have to communicate with your team, and this is what you'll need if you really want to have like a really straight to the point objective.
Obviously, that center pathway is going to cause a lot of conflict.
Yeah,
a lot of,
it's a key point.
And I saw there's a few hatches too, a few catwalks, and a few playtests that I was in. You know,
Yeah.
you could really utilize those catwalks to really your advantage, which is really fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So, what is the other pathway that attackers can take to get into the building?
Yeah, so the other pathway, this one is also really special because I know this is something that players wanted for a long time. So you can actually rappel on the facade of the building and you can see the amazing amazing art the team made, and you really feel like you're in there. And so what it means in gameplay term is that using the exterior rappel will let you have a safer approach into the objective. So you will have more breathing air, so you have more breathing space, to get into the objective.
Really
Okay,
interesting.
great.
So basically, two pathways for the attackers to take to infiltrate this building, and obviously in the defenders they have many decisions to make as well. So let's take a look at the tactical maps breaking down, starting with the second floor, where that holds the museum and office. So break us down what's
Absolutely,
on the
Justin.
second floor.
So this floor is divided by a center hallway where you'll find the elevator at the end. And it's really made of big rooms, big hallways, and in contrast to the first floor, darker neon colors.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the first floor too, that houses the restaurant, and
Yeah, the
break us
first
down
floor,
that.
in contrast, it's more tighter, all the hallway. We made it to design it so we lead you towards the center. And in contrast, it's mostly geared toward close range combat, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also that center corridor where the elevator spawn actually drops you off
Yeah,
at,
yeah.
and it provides a really big point of conflict there. So let's break down these sections piece by piece
That's right.
and take a look at what this beautiful map
It's
actually
beautiful,
holds.
huh?
It's
They
so
made it- they
beautiful.
made such
One
a
of the
good
most
work.
beautiful maps
Yeah,
your team
yeah.
has put together. It's really
It's
incredible.
really good. I'm so proud.
So with that said, let's start with the south side of the second floor, the office.
So the office, as you said in your intro, this is where it all started. The conflict where Rainbow had to come in to help the hostages because they went there and they started taking hostages, so Rainbow had to come and defuse the situation. The office is something you can use as a buffer to get into the museum because you can access it from the rappel. And this is what you'll have a lot of defenders checking the angles, holding the angles there, making sure the attacker doesn't go through there if they decide to.
Right, this is a
go to
really
the
key
office.
positional aspect for the
Yeah.
attackers to push through into the map. And as a defender, you really want to try and cut them off.
Yeah. That's it.
Maybe move towards that, have a roamer around there. That would be one strategy that you could potentially take.
One of many.
One of many. Yeah. All right, so keeping on the second floor, let's take a look at the center, which is the museum section.
Yes, the museum is very interesting because we have really dark lighting, but we also decided to make it so a lot of the rooms have these neon colors, and we also place them in a way that you can make these quick call-outs during game. So let's say you have like a part where it's purple, where it's red, where it's pink. During fights where you don't really have time to give a proper position, you'll use that as an alternative.
That kind of visual intelligence is really key. And I was
Yeah.
speaking with one of our writers, Farah, before coming on this trip, and she was saying that you can actually hear some history of Seoul, Korea, South Korea, from the museum. There's actually some historical content on the walls, and actually some voiceover that
Yeah,
you might be able to listen
yeah,
into.
we add. We love adding these kind of details. I think it adds more to the immersion, and you feel like you're really there.
Yeah, and so playing off that feeling safe and welcome as a tourist in this area, but also very dangerous as, you know, obviously there's going to be attackers and defenders roaming through that area.
Yeah.
Great, so with that, that concludes a look at our second floor. Now let's take a look at our first floor, where the restaurant pretty much takes up the entire area, right?
Yes, the restaurant is, in contrast to the museum, there's more natural light color. There's more light in general, so it's easy.
And in general, it's more thematic. It's this beautiful architecture that you guys have, and a lot of this conflict really centers around this central corridor, right?
Yeah, this corridor, every single game, something's gonna happen there.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not, something's gonna happen. At the
Yeah,
elevator.
because there's that elevator drop down right there.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of
It's
hatches
so
right
strong.
around you.
Yeah, it's so
a
strong.
lot of key objective points right in that area. Really interesting. Now, when working on designing a map, where do you guys start in figuring this
It's
out?
a really good question. So usually we start with either a strong thematic that we want to explore, or we go with gameplay intention. Usually what we do is we do our research, we look for references, we look for something that's going to be solid enough so we can base it upon, because Rainbow, we want to keep it authentic and realistic.
Cool.
Second, we decided on that. We start doing like architect and building the map in 2D and figuring out like the flow, the layout, how is it going to be. And when we're satisfied with that, we jump into what we call 3D. So we start building the map in the editor, and we do several iterations. And if we like it, we keep it. If not, we start again.
So
and
you
try
start
something else.
from there. You prototype it, tweak it to finding that right
Yeah.
recipe
Yeah.
of creating conflict in a certain area, or creating a nice flow for attackers and defenders to move through this space. With that said, that brings us to the most interesting section of this map, the atrium. Break
Yes.
us down the atrium, which spans across the second and first floor.
The atrium is really something we haven't done before because we had the challenge of making a map with no exterior gameplay. So we had to come up with something, a recipe that would allow us to do that. So the atrium is pretty much our answer. And to do that, we have what you'll find in exterior. So we have long line of sight, vertical line of sights, and quick access from first to second floor. This is really a roaming field. You'll get there. Any good roamer will love to just stay there and try to pick off the attackers one by one.
Really fascinating area because you're going to have that transitional space, but for the roamers, you're going to be able to have some really interesting gameplay as a defender in that space. As we mentioned before, there is no outside for defenders.
Yeah, no outside.
They can't, they're not going to get detected in this area if they want to try and
Absolutely,
breach
yeah.
out of it. So,
Yeah, they can
with
try.
that said, let's take a look at some of the gameplay footage as we sort of talk about this map a little bit further.
Sure.
Simon, in your gameplay playthroughs, what did you think of this map?
It's really an amazing map. Honestly, having no exterior, I thought at first, I was scared. I thought it would have been dangerous, but honestly, it plays really well. It's really well balanced because there's the catwalk in the atrium, and that's the key point. That's really a key point for the attackers to get in. But they have a lot of options actually to get in, either do a rush in the central elevator, or just go for the atrium, or the offices. Honestly, it's a great map. It plays super well, and I'm super stoked to see pro players, pro teams getting at it. And
Speaking of some of our pro players, we invited a few of them into the studio in Montreal, and they got firsthand look at this new map, and they just had great things to say about it. They said it's a potentially competitive map, so we may be seeing this in the future, in future Pro League seasons. Which
That'd
is
be really exciting.
Yeah, really exciting for you. For yourself, what is it like working on a map and then releasing it to the public? How do you feel about the when you actually create a map and it's actually in the hands of players?
First, it's a bit scary because we don't know what they're going to do. Because we try to do different things.
Yeah.
Every time we try to switch it up, make it different, and we don't know. We're not sure how the people are going to receive it. But most of the time, we're really just happy to release it, and people enjoy it.
Yeah, and
So
that
that's-
feedback process is
Yeah,
really
it's a
key
great feeling.
because we listen to the community every single day, every single moment on the subreddit, on Twitter, on social media, everywhere, and we hear their feedback and we're integrating it. One of the key points behind what we mentioned in the Year 3 sneak peek panel, which was really about redoing these maps, which is really key. But obviously, Tower is going to be one of the most interesting and key maps that we're releasing, and one of the most beautiful. It's strikingly beautiful as we look at these.
absolutely,
shots.
like I love that we're taking risk with our maps, like trying stuff we've never tried before and actually making it work. We already have a lot of maps that work, that were competitive, so we're taking a couple of risks, and I think it struck a really good balance in that one with the brand new elements, so I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely, and here you can see all the different aspects and of this map, which really come together, bring together your immersion, and
Yeah.
you're just placed in this world and placed in this map that feels real
Yeah.
and feels like it's in an actual environment, which is really cool. So that is a look at the Operation White Noise map Tower, coming to you guys for free with Operation White Noise, which is really exciting. I cannot wait for players to get their hands on this. Without further ado, so that's that look at the map. Let's take a look at the operators, and that's where I'm bringing in my man Simon. Obviously, with Season 3, we are releasing 3 new operators. The first one, Zofia, comes from the Polish Braum operation, followed by the South Korean operators, Dokkaebi and Vigil. These 3 operators are coming to you with Operation White Noise, and let's break them down piece by piece, gadget by gadget, and let's start off with Zofia. Here's a quick look at her.
I decide when to restrain and when to kill. Only the best call the shots.
That is Zofia Balsac. Amazing.
Amazing.
Clearly, Zofia is the sister of Ella, the older sister. She is more decisive, more resilient, and more experienced in her work. She actually joined Team Rainbow to connect closer with her sister Ella, and we cannot wait to break down her gadget. Simon, let's take a look at it and tell us what your game design intentions were behind Zofia.
So with Zofia, we wanted to make a really strong pusher, an aggressive entry fragger that has a lot of tools at her disposition.
Absolutely, and so it comes with
Yeah,
two kinds of ammo, and
Absolutely, it comes equipped with the KS-79 Lifeline,
Yeah.
which is a dual barrel grenade launcher. And yeah, so as you were saying, she has two types of ammo. The first type being an impact grenade that will destroy soft surfaces. And the second type of ammo is proximity proximity grenades. So as you can see, she uses the impact first and then the concussion so she can get the entry frag.
so clearly this is she shares a little bit of similarities with Ella. And what other kind of similarities does she share?
Well, you know, since they are sisters, you know, they are, well, right now what we're seeing is that she is able to get herself back up from DBNO with 1 HP.
The crowd is going crazy for that.
They're going crazy.
So clearly Ella had that situational DBNO feature where she could
Yeah.
blow her last grenade and maybe have a little bit of a situational advantage against an opponent attacking her.
Exactly.
And now Zofia has something similar.
So she has the ability to withstand DBNO while channeling for 5 seconds this animation, and she gets up with 1 HP. She'll be very fragile, but maybe she can get some more kills in.
Now you mentioned that Zofia comes equipped with a concussion grenade mine that's sort of similar to Ella's, but she also shares something similar, like even closer to Ella, when like some kind of special ability happens. Right?
Absolutely. So since they are sisters, they are each resistant to each other's abilities. So the effect of Ella's mine will be shortened drastically, and vice versa. Ella herself will not be affected as strongly by her proximity or concussion grenades.
So they're less affected by each other's gadgets.
Exactly.
And that's really cool, tying in a little bit of that storyline with Ella and Zofia, which is really cool.
Exactly. They are each other's soft counter.
Yeah, so that is a quick look at Zofia's gadget and her special abilities. So let's take a look at her loadout.
So she is a 2-speed, 2 armor. We felt like this was the right spot for her. We didn't want her to be too aggressive, but we also wanted her to be resilient. So she can take a little more in.
A little bit of a beating, but yeah,
Exactly.
but she's also not like a super roamer, but she comes with that utility, as you were saying. And
Exactly.
let's take a look at her primary and secondary weapons.
So she comes equipped with the LMG-E, which is a LMG with a 150 bullet magazine. She comes with the M762, which is a more standard assault rifle with a 30 mag capacity. And she also has the PR-15, which is Ella's pistol, which comes equipped with the red dot sight.
So both Ella and Zofia are going to be a force to be reckoned with this secondary, with the red dot sight, and a gun. Zofia comes with a LMG with 150
Yeah,
bullets.
she can lay suppressive fire all day.
So a ton of utility with this operator. Let's take a look at some of her gameplay footage in action and what it kind of looks like. So Simon, how do you feel as though Zofia is going to play in Pro League?
I think it's going to be interesting to see with what operator the teams replace her with. Like, I feel like she is a very good alternative to Ashe. Yes, she doesn't have the same amount of speed and explosiveness as Ashe has, but she also brings more utility, which could be very useful in a lot of situations.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Ashe mains may switch over to Zofia. Maybe they swap between each other, and maybe you know if depending upon the strategy of the defenders, maybe they switch over to Zofia.
Yeah, exactly. And our 2 impact grenades are able to take out barbed wire. So we know Ashe uses a lot of her explosive grenades for barbed wires. Well, Ella, Zofia can bring that too to the.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the key things in Pro League that we've seen is that those barbed wires becoming so key at slowing down enemies, and even those traps do her impact grenades blow up traps as well.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if they think it's an interesting choice to trade a little speed for utility.
Yeah, and I think with her strong loadout, with her LMG and AR, it's going to be really interesting to see how she plays out.
And one more thing to note is that she can be quite the playmaker because her concussion grenades can actually bounce off walls, so you don't have to expose yourself to get a concussion grenade in. So if you know, like, the defender is hiding behind a cover, you don't even need to expose yourself. You try to do a little trick shot with the door frame, and then you get in and you grab the frag.
So super utility. You don't even need to see the opponent to shoot her grenades in.
Exactly,
which is
and
really cool.
as we just saw, it's really proximity based. So as soon as the proximity grenade flies near a defender, it will explode instantly.
And then it'll hit multiple defenders.
And
right?
it will hit multiple defenders and even herself if she gets caught in the radius, just as Ella's with her mines.
Yeah, and we're noticing that it's a similar effect to Ella, but slightly different. Is about the same time length that it lasts.
It's about the same length. We wanted to have like this kind of like a wink at her sister. They're really like connected, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think even they have a few voice lines together that you might be able to hear if you're playing as Zofia and Ella's in the game too.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I think the narration team had a lot of fun with that and put a bit of playfulness into the game, which is really
Absolutely.
great. Yeah, really great. So that is a look at Zofia, and let's take a look at our next operator, Vigil, that is coming with Operation White Noise.
You never saw me coming. Don't feel so bad. Nobody ever sees me. I'm in everyone's blind spot.
Really, what a cool CGI trailer
Yeah.
for Vigil. That's one of the coolest ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really badass.
And one of our lead writers, Lucien Souban, described Vigil for me, and I wrote it down real quick because his backstory is really interesting. So Vigil is an orphan tortured by his experiences. He turned his pain into a path of discipline, but because of the hardships he's faced, he's most comfortable behind his mask. He prefers to be invisible, and that's exactly what his abilities show him to do. So obviously, there is some kind of cloaking ability that he has. Why don't we break down his gadget, Simon? What are the game design intentions behind Vigil?
So with Vigil, we wanted to have a roamer that is extremely strong. Like he comes equipped with the electronic rendering cloak, and that renders him invisible to drones. Obviously, for a roamer, a lurker, this is a very strong ability because the drones are the #1 enemy of the roamers and lurkers. That's how they get
Absolutely.
found out.
It's a really interesting ability, and let's see it in action from Vigil's perspective. And why don't you break it down for us?
So we'll see Vigil just activating his cloaking ability, and then you will see the drone coming in, and he has a white light because the computer in Vigil's back is actively hacking the drone's feed to remove his image from it.
And there you can see a little bit of a HUD indication that you are invisible and you are cloaked to
Exactly.
that drone. Additionally, it works, I noticed a timer bar for the ability icon. How does that work?
Yeah, it works on the cooldown similar to Caveira's, so he can use it, stay in it, he can move around, and then that's it. When it runs out, it has to refill up until he can use it again.
Now, let's take a look at what that looks like from the attacker's perspective while in the drone view.
So the drone is just rolling in, and Vigil just vanishes from the vision of the drone.
As we hear the crowd just go react to that, and they just cheered and were just like blown away by
It
that.
just
So
looks
cool.
great.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I love the sort of cloaking effect,
Yeah.
visual that looks that's great. And additionally, we saw the same UI HUD that is present there. So what happens when a drone comes close to Vigil while he's already cloaked?
So while you're in the drone, you will get close to Vigil and you will get that HUD increase. But even if you get close to him, the HUD will not grow any stronger. So the design intention behind that is that when Vigil is invisible, you will know that he's in the room, but you cannot tell where he is. You cannot pinpoint his position.
Really amazing stuff. And obviously, what's that range that they can detect him at?
The range is about 12 meters, so the HUD vignette will increase from 12 to 8 meters, but after from 8 meters to Vigil, you cannot pinpoint him.
So if he's in a small room and
Yeah.
you throw your drone in there, you drive your drone in there, you'll be able to see Vigil or actually know that he's in that room, but you won't actually be able to see him. You won't know exactly where he is, but you will get that HUD feedback on him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. So let's take a look at his loadout and break down some of those details.
So, of course, he's a roamer, so he needs to be 3-speed, 1 armor. He's a very aggressive defender. He's a lot of fun to play with. And he has a pretty cool selection of weapons, too.
Yeah, let's take a look at his primary and secondary weapons.
So he comes equipped with the K1A1, which is a submachine gun, 30 mags. And he comes equipped with 2 machines pistol as secondaries. But the real special weapon here is the shotgun, the Boss G22. It's really a unique shotgun. We've never did anything like it in the game. And so the way it works is that it's a shotgun that has 2 pellets. And it doesn't fire, when you fire it, it doesn't fire 8 pellets. It fires just only a single buckshot. And so...
So how does that work? It's obviously really powerful. And
Exactly.
but it's going to be a bit of a high risk, high reward.
Exactly. You only get 2 shots with him. That's it. But it's a very high damage weapon. So you'll have to be very confident in your shots, because if you miss them, it's bye-bye.
I can only see now a cloaked Vigil just walking around a corner, entirely an unexpecting person on their drone, just droning out a room, and he just comes around a corner with that slug shotgun.
He's
It's gonna
terrifying. Yeah.
That is really scary. So obviously a lot of utility, a lot of situational advantages for Vigil. And but let's take a look at some of his counter picks as well. So who would you say is a good counter pick?
His
against?
nemesis is obviously IQ, because whenever he has his electronic rendering cloak active, IQ will track him in real time as he moves around. And so he cannot hide from IQ unless he turns it off.
That is amazing. That is really cool. His counter picks become really important, and
Absolutely.
and IQ is really his nemesis against him.
Yeah.
Really cool. Great. So let's take a look at some of his gameplay footage here with looking at Vigil.
Well,
and
actually,
right,
Justin,
actually.
there is 2 more,
That's
more
right.
softer counters to Vigil,
Yeah.
which is Thatcher and Twitch. Thatcher, if he gets caught in the radius, it will temporarily disable his electronic rendering cloak. And for Twitch, if by chance you arrive and you manage to pinpoint him and shoot him, it will disable his cloaking with the Twitch drone.
So Twitch's drone will be able to disable Vigil's cloaking
Exactly.
ability. So, but she won't be able to see him, right?
No, she won't
She'll-
be able to see him from the drone. Only if she gets a shot where if she knows where he is.
So she'll just get the HUD indication, and then if she just happens to hit him, he'll break
Exactly.
penalty. That's really cool. All right, so now let's
Yeah.
take a look at the gameplay footage of Vigil in action, and tell us a little bit about how you foresee Pro League actually integrating a character like Vigil.
Oh man, he's gonna be one of the more interesting characters we're gonna see in Pro League. I think he's a huge meta changer because we know how cornerstone droning is to an attack. So
It's huge. We've been seeing it all weekend. Droning is just, they're in and out of their drones nonstop.
exactly, and you see how fast they pre-fire angles when they spot a defender, but you won't be able to tell where he is. So by entering, you won't be able to pre-fire him because you can't tell where he is. So I think it's going to be actually a huge game changer.
I feel like he's going to have a lot of harassment ability where he is just hiding out in a room and an attacker throws their drone in and just gets that HUD notification and they just freak out. They're just like, all right, he's in there somewhere.
Exactly.
I don't know where, but he's in there somewhere.
Exactly, and that's what he brings to his team, basically. It's making the attackers lose time. And so they're going to have to figure out where he is. They're going to have to get in and try to kill him, but he's just going to make the attacker lose a bunch of time, and that's what he brings.
And I feel like he's an interesting parallel to Caveira, because he does have a similar ability where it's a time-based ability like Caveira. It runs out of time eventually.
Exactly, and that's what he brings to the team. It's kills and losing time.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see another Caveira with him?
I don't know. I think Caveira plus Vigil might be a little overkill. I don't know, but I mean, I would be terrified playing against that.
Yeah, I'd be a little afraid as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, a really interesting operator with Vigil, and now let's take a look at our third and remaining operator, Dokkaebi.
Your phone is ringing. Here. Let me get that for you.
The crowd is going crazy
yeah.
here for that trailer of Dokkaebi, one of our most interesting operators that we will have ever released. It's a really game-changing operator. And before I get into her gadget, I'd like to just read a little bit of her backstory that was provided to me by Lucien. Again, thank you, Lucien, if you're watching. Dokkaebi is a driven hacker who never really fit in with conventional military structure. She was used to doing things her way, but her technical savvy made her an asset on the modern-day battlefield and an unexpected threat to any enemies facing her. So, Simon, what were your game design intentions behind Dokkaebi? Break down her gadget because it's very unique.
So we wanted to have an attacker that's really focused on intel. So she comes equipped with this tablet, and she has this ability called Logic Bomb. And when she activates this ability, it makes all of the defenders' phones ring.
So how does, that sounds pretty insane. How does she actually do that? Let's take a look from her perspective.
Yeah. So you'll see she will activate the Logic Bomb. And then on her right, she can hear that there is a defender. And you see Valkyrie was attempting to shut down the ringtone that Dokkaebi was making her cell phone play.
So after she does that animation of making everybody's phones ring, you're on the defender side, you actually have your phone ringing.
Exactly, you can hear it. It's really distracting.
So let's take a look at that from the defender's perspective. And why don't you break us down?
Exactly, now you can see that the phone is ringing, and Vigil, panicking, tries to turn off his phone, and that's how it happens. But it's an important decision to take as a defender to say, do I turn off my phone or do I keep it ringing? Like, do I take this time where I cannot shoot back and I cannot defend myself?
Yeah, so she's really the ultimate troll in terms of just getting people's phones to ring, and you actually have to spend time to turn off your phone in a similar way that you have to make that decision with Legion, where do I continue to fight on, or do I take out that pin, or do I just continue to let my phone ring, or spend the time to actually hide and turn it off?
Yeah, it's a big decision to make.
Now, there is one other ability with her hacking
Yeah.
Logic Bomb
And
that
this
comes into
one's-
play. It's
this
really
one
kind of a game
is
changer. Why
awesome.
don't you run us through it?
So you will see Dokkaebi. She's getting a kill right now, and when any attacker kills a defender, they drop their phone, and she can hack the phone, and yes, gain access to the camera network of the defenders.
Wow, that is huge. And I think the crowd likes that.
Yeah, they like that. And yeah, you can see it's not only the standard cameras, it's Valkyrie's camera
cameras.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, that is so huge. I love the crowd's reaction
Yeah.
because they just exploded about
That's
that.
amazing.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Now, let's take a look at that from the defender's view. What does that look like?
So say you're a defender, you're watching your cams, trying to get a call out for your team, and then Dokkaebi hacks into the network. She will get that signature image in your face, distracting you, trying to make call outs, and that's how you know your network has been compromised too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really kind of an awesome little feature there for Dokkaebi. I cannot wait to see how players utilize that amazing gadget.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
interesting, really incredible. All right, let's take a look at her loadout here and run through that.
So she is a 2-speed, 2-armor attacker, and she comes equipped with a great selection of weapons.
Let's take a look at those primaries and secondaries, yeah.
So she comes equipped with the MK14 EBR, which is a DMR. It has really great recoil, high damage, and she shares the other weapons of Vigil. So the super awesome shotgun and the two machine pistols, the SMG-12 and the CZ-75. She also comes with smoke grenades and claymores.
So strong loadout, strong unique gadget. What are her? What is really her nemesis against her? Actually, she's a pretty good counter pick against another operator.
Exactly.
Right?
This is a straight counter pick to Valkyrie. You'll have to think twice about bringing Valkyrie, and if you do decide to bring her in, where will you put your Valkyrie cams? Because if she does get to hack into the network, you can get all of your positions compromised, and it can make your defense absolutely collapse on itself.
Yeah, and then you have a really important decision as a defender. Do I blow out all my cameras, or do I just have them have that intel?
Exactly.
And for Valkyrie, sometimes that long range camera throw is kind of outside of the range of a certain location. So whether you have to make that decision too. Do you throw it outside? Do you throw it closer to the bomb site where you can actually get to it and shoot it if necessary? So a lot of decisions on the
Yeah, it's going to
defender
be
side.
so interesting to see how it plays out because, as always, the players will impress us with what they come up with as strategies and counter strategies.
They always come up with better strategies. than us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of that, she does have a few counter picks, so let's take a look at those, right?
So basically, when she uses the Logic Bomb ability, it does not make Echo's cell phone ring. Echo is exempt from that ability. He is immune.
He's too high tech.
And IQ, when the defender's phone are ringing, she can, and the defender is trying to stop his phone from ringing, she can see the outline of the phone in his hand.
That's pretty cool.
So if you really have a good timing with your IQ, you can really pull off some really cool coordinated plays.
So an interesting thing where these really high-tech operators are bringing a lot to IQ as a potential
Yeah,
counterpick.
absolutely.
Yeah.
IQ is going to be able to counter everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, that is a look at Dokkaebi. Let's take a look at her gameplay footage real quick. So, Simon, Dokkaebi, how do you think pro players are actually going to provide a strategy around her?
I think she's going to be a strong pick, but maybe more of a situational one. So I think how it's going to play out is that if the other team, if the team knows that the other team is running a strong Valkyrie and they want to counter that, they can bring in a Dokkaebi to be a really strong counter to that defense.
Yeah, and I think it should be mentioned that Dokkaebi does have a slight counter to that hacking ability too, where you can, as a defender, turn off or shoot those phones, right?
Exactly. So anytime Dokkaebi is picked on attack, and a defender dies, they drop their cell phone.
You can see Valkyries right there.
Yeah, we can
on
see
screen.
the phone on the ground. And as a defender, you can try and deny the hack by maybe taking a risk, exposing yourself, shooting down the phone to make sure your camera network doesn't get exposed. And so there's going to be a lot of really interesting decisions to make on the defender
Now,
side.
on Dokubi's opposite side, Vigil, he has a cloaking ability that prevents him from being seen by drones on the attacker side. Does he get seen by hacked cameras?
Yeah, so when the attackers hacked into the system and look through the cameras, Vigil is going to stay invisible to those hacked cameras, so he stays immune to that.
Really interesting gameplay between these two operators that we're releasing now, where one has one ability and it can be countered against Dokubi as well with his ability.
Exactly, like
Really
Vigil
cool.
is just a ghost to all terms of electronic watching, like either drones or cameras.
Do you think she's going to be one of those must picks that come into Pro League?
Like I said, I think really she's going to be a little more situational. She's strong, although I'm curious to see how her weapons are going to play out because they are very highly lethal. It's one of the strongest DMRs that we have in the game. The recoil is very easily manageable, and it has 21 bullets. It's just such a fun operator to play with.
Plus, she has two SMGs as secondaries to
And
choose
yeah,
from.
once you run out of ammunition, you can switch to two amazing SMGs, machine pistols, in fact.
Machine pistols.
Yeah, she just has a great loadout. She's just so much fun to play with. I think the players are going to have a total blast with this season.
Really amazing. So that is a look at our three operators coming with Operation White Noise, our map, but there is a little bit more coming. And releasing with Operation White Noise, we have a few little surprises as well, starting with an elite skin. So let's take a look at Mute's elite skin that will be launching with Operation White Noise. Obviously, elite skins come with a head-to-toe customization and a unique gadget customization with an MVP winning screen, which is so cool.
That is cool.
That is one of the coolest MVP winning screens that I've ever seen because
Yeah.
it just like blacks out the camera, which is really awesome. And of course, with every season, we also provide brand new BDUs for our operators that are releasing. So here's a look at Zophia's BDU that will be available with the launch of Operation White Noise. These are special customization items that you can get at launch of the season as well. And here's Vigil. Vigil, something that's really cool is his mask is customized here. So I'm sure you'll be able to see a little bit more of that in the future, which is great. And then finally, Dokubi has a little bit of a customization item as well, option as well, with her beanie and her outfit as well, which is really cool. And her little logo in the chest right there, which is great.
Very well made.
So all of that coming to you very soon. And of course, with every operation, we have a ton of general tweaks and improvements. Just so many things coming out with you with Operation White Noise. And you'll actually be able to get the patch notes starting tomorrow. Also, starting tomorrow, we are really happy to announce that launching on November 20th is the full technical test server for Operation White Noise. You will be able to have, you'll be able to play the entire Operation White Noise content live on the technical test server for PC players starting tomorrow with the full launch coming on December 5th. And we are doing 2 weeks of technical test server. That first week is going to be a really intense and high-paced patch notes fixing week. That is, we're going to be working very hard to make sure that season is very polished. And then the following week will be another week where we can pick up any following bugs that may be staggering around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. So with that said, that is Operation White Noise. Once again, thank you guys to Maddie and Simon. Thank you to everybody here in Brazil. Thank you to everybody watching on our cameras at home. And that is not all. We have an amazing, amazing grand finals coming right up with Ents and Black Dragons. This is going to be an amazing crowd, amazing match. I cannot wait for you guys to see this. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this.
Operation White Noise is taking Rainbow Six Siege to South Korea, where a new map called Tower will test your tolerance for heights, and 3 new operators will put new gadgets into play. Let's start with Dokebi, a 2-speed, 2-armor attacker from South Korea, who brings a tablet into battle to disrupt her enemies in a way we can all relate to, by calling them at really awkward moments. Twice per round, Dokebi can remotely hack the phones of every defender simultaneously with her logic bomb, which does a few things. First, it causes all of the defenders' phones to emit a loud buzzing noise. Second, it disrupts the defender's camera surveillance, giving the attackers a chance to maneuver without being spotted. Third, it annoys the crap out of every defender until they take a few seconds to turn off that infernal buzzing. But Dokebi doesn't stop there. When she's in a match, every defender that is killed will drop their phone. If Dokebi manages to hack an enemy phone, she immediately grants every attacker the ability to access the defender's cameras. What's a defender to do? Avoid camera sightlines? Shoot out their own cams and deny themselves their own intel? The best way to avoid this dilemma is to destroy your teammates' phones when they go down, to ensure Dokebi can't hack them. There are also a few ways to evade her logic bomb, like being near a mute jammer when the hack goes out, or playing as Echo, who is immune to her hacks because the two often collaborate on tech stuff for Team Rainbow. But when it comes to avoiding hacked cameras, there's a new operator that takes evasion to a whole new level. Meet Vigil. This South Korean defender does not like to be surveilled, so he's got a gadget that lets him turn invisible to camera feeds. His electronic rendering cloak doesn't muffle his steps or affect his visibility to the naked eye, but if you're trying to drone him out or spot him on a hacked camera feed, you're out of luck. Affected drones and cameras emit a white light, and Vigil's ability causes a visual interference pattern to appear on any feeds that it's affecting. These cues tell attackers that Vigil is somewhere nearby. As a 3-speed, 1-armor defender, Vigil has the quickness to cover multiple areas of entry and sow doubt among the attackers about where he actually is. His ability works similarly to Caveira's Silent Step, so he can't be cloaked indefinitely, and his cloak vanishes when he shoots or does something to affect the environment. Also, like Pulse and his heartbeat sensor, Vigil can be detected by IQ when he's using his ability. Jackal can scan his footprints too, but if you don't have a strong anti-roamer operator in the field, you're gonna have to be extra vigilant.
Friendly, last operator standing.
On to our third operator, Zofia. This tough 2-speed, 2-armor frontline attacker from Poland's Grom CTU is as in your face as operators get. Her unique gadget? The KS-79 Lifeline, a double-barreled grenade launcher. In one chamber, she's got impact grenades. In the other chamber, concussion grenades that'll knock the sense out of any nearby defenders and make them all too vulnerable. She can switch between barrels with the press of a button, and she doesn't need to reload between shots. And the thing about those concussion grenades? You can bounce them around corners and land them in some tricky spots before their timed trigger goes off. They also have a proximity trigger, so if they happen to fly near a defender, they will immediately detonate and disorientate. Kind of like Ella's Gersmont mines, wouldn't you say? Zofia and Ella are sisters. They both have a fair bit of training when it comes to being concussed, so they recover 50% faster from each other's concussion blasts than other operators do. The Bozak sisters are tough, but Zofia is so tough that once per round, she can pick herself back up from a down but not out state. She only has 1 health point when she gets up, but by God, she gets up.